Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the feature race at the Spa on Sunday is the Grade 2 Amsterdam Stakes. It is the local prep for the prestigious Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkins later in the meet. The Amsterdam at 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-olds. It is a big competitive field. You can play this race with a DRF Bets account. Use the promo code HELLO to start your action. Here's the field for the Amsterdam. Again, as you see, lots of horses, lots of talent. We'll start with Chad Brown. He's got the 5, Honest Mischief. Juddmonte Farms Homebred. We were blown away by his win at Keeneland 2 starts back. We believed that figure of 97. And in the Woody Stevens, the break cost him. He drew the rail, and the way the day was going, you and I were like, this is great. He drew the rail. Javier's going to save ground. You want to be on the rail all day long. And after he didn't break, Javier had to take him to the outside. And he came with a wide run on the turn. He looked the speed in the eye in mid-stretch. And then I think the track got to him the final eighth of a mile.
I thought so, too. I thought he actually ran a very good race in the Woody Stevens, the way things shaped out. And, you're right, breaking from the rail. Once he didn't miss it. He just didn't break that sharply in there. And once he didn't break sharply, he just got cleared by a bunch of horses. And that meant Castellano had to take him off the inside. And he made a big run into the race, then he just flattened out at the end. I thought he ran really well. And this is a good field, but this horse is supposed to be very hard to beat in here.
Well, let's throw up the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race because the speed likely to come from the far outside. That's the 12, Shan Saluat. He has shown brilliant speed. He has yet to be headed in his 2-race career, and he returned off a little bit of a layoff to just destroy a weak field at Monmouth last time out. He never gave them a chance. He was 4 clear in the blink of an eye, and he was never really asked for run. This will be the first test of his career. Timeform U.S. believes he has to go fast to do it, but they also believe he will clear to the front.
I think he'll clear to the front, too. This horse is wicked fast if you just look at his 2 races. I know he beat a weaker field last time, but the third finisher did come back to win his next race with a 92 buyer. So that horse is no pushover. This horse, is that right that he breezed in 111 the other day? I'm assuming this horse is pretty fast. He's got the outside post. I think he will make the front. And I'm a little concerned that he's stepping way up in class here, Dan, but I'm not going to be surprised if he's very hard to run down. He's been very impressive, this horse.
And Jorge Navarro knows a thing or two about sharp sprinters, XY Jet, Sharp Azteca. They come to mind. Let's talk about some of the other horses exiting the Woody Stevens. We'll begin with the runner-up in that race, Nitrous, a late runner that got a clever ride, I thought, from Ricardo Santana Jr. because we knew he was going to be far behind early. Ricardo just took him down to the inside where he could save as much ground as possible on the valuable rail. The problem is with a running style like this, eventually he's going to end up at the center of the track. He did. He came with a run. It was a good effort because he was off the rail in the stretch. But a horse with Nitrous's running style in a big field like this is going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles regarding pace and trip.
Right. I mean, he got a great ride, I thought, from Santana last time. He really did run at the end, though. It was a good performance from him. His Bachelor prior to that, another, big close from off the pace where he caught wicked fractions to close into. Listen, it looks like he's going to catch wicked fractions and run into again in this race. So this race just might set up perfectly for him, and his best race is going to give him a look in here, Dan. I was a little against him because he's had things go so well for him in his last 2 starts, but he's a good horse.
The 10 is Strike Silver. Strike Silver was the pace setter in the Woody Stevens. Irad realized that the rail was good, realized that this versatile horse, a horse that has come from last sprinting on the turf, a horse that has won on the lead, was able to get to the front. Irad got to the lead. He grabbed the gold rail. He rode it for as long as possible. Strike Silver just wasn't good enough. And I think after that Candy situation, it's only going to get tougher here.
I think it gets tougher for him, too. I'll give him a little bit of credit for the Woody Stevens because even though he did get to the right part of the track, he went fast. He went fast to get there, and he went a fast pace once he was on the lead in there, and I thought he held on pretty gamely. I think he's a good horse, Dan. I do think this is a tougher spot.
I neglected to mention Jorge Navarro's formulator fact. Let's get that up there for Shan Saluat. Past 4 years, 3-year-old last out winning dirt sprinters, second off the layoff, 6 for 10, $4.18. return on investment. Another horse coming out of the Woody Stevens is Wendell Fong. Wendell Fong was beaten, I thought, at the post position draw. He drew post 11 on a day where the rail was good. Vargas did the best he could to hustle him out of there and try to get position, but he did end up 3 wide after a quarter mile and then pressing Strike Silver from the outside on the turn. I loved what Vargas did when this horse was beaten. He dropped him right down to the rail, and I think if he doesn't do that, he finishes 8th or 9th.
No, I agree with that because he took the worst of it early in there, and he could have easily finished way back in that field. But you're right, getting to the rail helped him in the stretch. He's an improving 3-year-old for a very good trainer. His last race, probably a little better than it looks on paper. He's a contender in here, I think.
We liked what we saw from the Big S at Keeneland 2 starts back. It was only a non-winner of one other race. He was off too slow. He was climbing at the back while green. He swung wide into the stretch, and I thought he gave a nice, okay finish. Last time out, he was really bet with blinkers in the Looking at Lucky, and he was really sharp with blinkers in the Looking at Lucky. And I think Ray Handel didn't like that because the blinkers come right off. I'm just not sure he's this good.
I agree. It's an Amsterdam that came up really tough for him. I do think he's a good horse, though, Dan, and I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Can he win this race? I think that's going to be very hard for him, but he's a horse that I'd be interested in trying to throw in there somewhere because I do think he has a lot of improvement in him still.
I think a case can be made that the 3 Super Comet is the horse with the most upside potential. He is 2 for 2 in his career. I think he has the right running style for this race. He's already beaten a couple of the longer price chances in the Amsterdam. He needs to improve on figures for Marcassi. So far, so good. I've liked both races at Churchill Downs. He's got the pedigree to be a nice horse as well. This is sort of an outsider that I want to use somewhere.
Yeah, I can see him taking another step forward here, too. I like his first 2 races fine. Again, this is an Amsterdam that came up really tough. So as good as he's looked, he has to run even better than that. I'll take a wait-and-see approach. I'll see what kind of price he is. If he was a big price, I would try to use him somewhere. If he takes a little money, undefeated with some competitive figures, I'd probably avoid him.
Has Kenny McPeek gotten Lemniscate back on the beam? Little case of the Derby fever. After winning his 2-turn debut on turf, they ran him in the Louisiana Derby at 64 to 1. It was an unmitigated disaster, but they switched him back to sprinting last time out. I like that he was able to sit a little bit, something that he didn't do earlier in his career. This outside post position might be fine for him. I think he can be close to the pace while in the clear, and he switches to Jose Ortiz. He just has to run faster.
He's got to run faster. He can do it. He's second off of a little layoff here. I thought he ran fine last time. I didn't think he ran great, but I thought he ran fine. And a field like this, though, just running fine is not going to be good enough.
Achilles Warrior's got a couple figs. A couple 90 figs in his last 3 races that make him somewhat interesting for Joe Bravo and Mark Henning. Scored at odds on last time out at Monmouth. Not sure he beat much that day. Thought he had a good trip behind a pace battle. Angled out into the stretch. Got it done. He's okay. I'm not sure okay is good enough to win this race, but Achilles Warrior at a price is another horse that you might want to consider, at least on the bottom of single race exotics.
Yeah, he's run a couple fast races. I thought he got a perfect trip last time, but he won very easily against older horses. He broke his maiden up here last summer. I thought he looked really good winning first time out. He was main track only that day, but he looked good winning that race. So I'm not surprised that he's improved since then, but I don't know. His 290 buyer efforts, I think they're good. They just didn't do a lot for me overall.
Another horse that won his debut here last year, the 4 Classy John, Louisiana bred, trained by Dallas Stewart. Dallas put the blinkers on this horse last time out. He cleared off to the lead, and he just couldn't stay against Super Comet and Lemniscate. And I wonder if that race has kind of exposed him a little bit.
Yeah, the blinkers had him pretty fresh early in that race. He was pulling pretty hard out to a clear lead. He got tired at the end, and he got run down. In this race, so far based on his running style, he wants to be forward. Being forward in this race may not be a good thing. There's a lot of speed to his outside.
Garner and Ties put up some figs in his last 2 races. A 94 when just destroying horses down at Gulfstream in the Ocala. A 92 last time out in the Smile Sprint, behind horses like Diamond Oops and Jalen Journey. And we'll see those horses on Saturday. The former in the Vanderbilt, Jalen Journey out in California in the Bing Crosby. I've always thought he was a solid horse. I think if you give him some pace, he's going to run. I just wonder after 13 starts how much more is left in the tank for improvement, because I think he needs slight improvement to win this race.
I think he needs slight improvement to win it, but to get a piece of it's not out of the question, because as you say, he wants pace in front of him and he wants to run at the end. He's supposed to have plenty of pace in front of him. His last 2 races put him close.
Bourbon Calling is the prototypical one-run, late-running sprinter. He has won 2 of his last 3 races by utilizing that style. The situation up front should be to his liking. He is reunited with Julien Leparoux, who's aboard 3 starts back. Bourbon Calling is slow on paper, but he just might get the right setup.
Yeah, he's going to have something to run at in here. We'll see if he can step forward enough to take advantage of it, because based on what he's done so far, this is not a race that he can win.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Amsterdam. You're sticking with Honest Mischief. I respect the loyalty. We were very impressed with the race at Keeneland. He certainly had the excuse against the track last time out in the Woody Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does have a big excuse for his last race. I just think he's really good, Dan. I took him, over the fast Navarro horse on the outside, Shan Saluat. I'm very interested to see what Shan Saluat does because he's been very visually impressive and fast. I went 5, 12, and 6. I'm going to throw a little bit of the big S in there. He's going to be a big price down on the rail. I'm just hoping he can take a step forward here.
I want to see a down-the-road speed show from Shan Saluat. I want him to maybe be an up-and-coming star in this division. This is the test. Either he is or he's not. We'll find out how good he is in this race. But Maciel Jaramillo's got to get him clear to the lead, and we'll see if he can last despite going fast. Early, your top selection, Honest Mischief. I'm sticking with him as my second choice. I think Nitrous is a horse that can round out your single race exotics by coming with a late run. Wendell Fang's a horse I want to use one more time, especially if the track remains wet. He seems like he likes a wet track. That's the Grade 2 Amsterdam, the feature race at Saratoga on Sunday. Get involved with that DRF Bets account and the promo code HELLO. You won't be sorry. Approximate post time, 6:38 Eastern. Good luck.